Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sangha Live. My name is Janice. So grateful to be back here with you today and with Caverly Morgan, one of my dear friends, a meditation teacher, a visionary, a nonprofit leader, and she's the fairy godmother to my little boy too. So really grateful to be back with you all today and to have Caverly share another day of practice. I am going to jump right into a handful of announcements. So if you're new here for the first time, know that I'll just take a few minutes to share some announcements, go over a couple logistics, and then I'll bring Caverly on and we'll get started with the meditation. So Caverly has a whole flurry of upcoming events that I want to just offer, and after this, I'll put them in the links in the sidebar for you. So I'll see if I can just go in chronological order. So one of the things Caverly does is she's the creator of Presence Collective, a collective of teachers offering practice into the world. And today at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I believe 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Latifa Till is offering a webinar, and the theme is grieving together during this time. And then on July 7th, Caverly is offering a practice. The theme is how to know equanimity amidst upheaval. And that's through the Insight Meditation Center in Charlottesville, Virginia, where Caverly is from. And then I also wanted to say this is very bittersweet for me. July 10th will be the very last day that Caverly is offering this daily meditation series on Sangha Live. She's been doing it for months now. I know it's been enriching to so many people, myself included. So yeah, we hope you can stick with us to the end and stay tuned for how you can stay connected to Caverly moving forward. So that's July 10th is the last day of these meditations. July 11th, Sangha Live is making space for Caverly to do her first ever book reading of her new children's book, a children's book about mindfulness. And I'll drop a link in about that, but all are welcome. We're hoping kids will be there, parents will be there, grandparents, everyone. So spread the word about that. And then I think the last announcement I have here is July 25th is going to be a retreat day. Caverly and 4 other white identified meditation teachers are offering a day to dive into our relationship with whiteness from a white identified perspective. So this offering is in place of the usual 7-day in-person retreat that Caverly has typically led. And it's catered to this time and the needs of the moment. So I hope I plan on being there. I hope I might see you there as well. So I think those are all the announcements, and the last just logistical things are please donate if you can. Sangha Live is providing practice to people all over the world, and no one is turned away if they aren't able to donate. It's really the generosity of this community that makes it all possible. It supports the tech, people in the background, and the teachers. So that green button just below is there if you can donate financially. And once I bring Caverly on, she'll lead this 30-minute meditation. And then if you want, you can ask her a question, typing it into the question box, or you can request just by typing into the sidebar to come on screen with Caverly and have an exchange. All right, I think that's everything for this morning. I'm going to bring on Caverly.
Janice, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Talk to you after. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. As usual, thank you so much for saying hello in that sidebar. Very, very happy to see you all here. Hi. Friends, I have such deep appreciation of this Sangha, and yesterday I was speaking with Alyssa. Hi, Charlie. Oh, I'm glad you're here. Charlie, we could continue our conversation from last night. I woke up this morning thinking we should continue that. Anyway, we had a lovely Wednesday night group last night. Alyssa wasn't able to make it, so I was the host and the teacher, and that meant it didn't get recorded. So it's one of those times where you finish something, you said, well, that's typical. Meditation and some exchanges that really should have been recorded should have, from that perspective of, wouldn't that have been nice to share with others? But alas, Charlie, maybe we can have a redo. Friends, it's, Alyssa and I were, as Janice said, it's bittersweet that this particular forum is coming to a close. But Alyssa and I were speaking yesterday after this teaching time, and I said, I just can't imagine. Hi, Gavi. Hello. I can't imagine going down to only being together in this way once a week at this point. So Alyssa and I are really looking at, after our summer break, maybe having it Tuesdays and Thursday mornings. So feel free to drop her a note if your schedule would allow that. Again, this is really about what would work for us, and then we could see what would happen from there. It would be, as I mentioned, it'd be offered through Presence Collective. And there's no doubt that 9 a.m. has gotten the most votes. So thank you for those who've written Alyssa. Makes it much easier for us. So we, for sure, after the summer break, are going to do 9 a.m. on Tuesdays. And then again, I do Wednesday evenings, and I know that time doesn't work for everyone. So just yesterday we were saying, like, Thursdays would be quite lovely. And then we could have, a more like a rhythm that's a little more reflective of these calls. And good. Thanks for those of you that are liking that idea. Lovely. I'm excited to, beautiful. Thanks, friends. Yeah. And Evelyn, thanks for your email. Okay. Well, we'll leave it there for now, but thank you so much. We were also, just to acknowledge, we were looking at the calendar and we realized between July 25th, which will be the all-day offering, there's not a whole lot on our book offering-wise until when we begin, which might be the first week of September. And that's because August is such a wacky month. We have Peace in Schools intensive time. I hope to go on my own retreat in August. So one of the things that we're looking at is just putting a reunion of sorts for this community. I believe we found the date. It might have been August 2nd, but don't quote me on that one yet. Alyssa will bring that date in tomorrow. So just know that we are looking to kind of get us together again and then launch hopefully twice a week then in September. Anyway, thank you so much for your support. And I'm, as I've said so many times, I just have such deep appreciation of this Sangha and this community. Thank you again to Sangha Life. All right, so I will acknowledge there are two things that are alive for me this morning. I would say the practice place that feels most alive to me is some form of continuation of what we did yesterday, simply because I saw that it engaged a lot of, I just saw that it was engaging for folks. And so I thought we could continue with that without going to the head too much and dragging experience that's not here and now in. If there's anything alive for you about yesterday's meditation, anything perhaps that I didn't get to name or address, but I saw in the sidebar after the call ended, feel free to put that in now. If you are new today, don't worry, you will not be lost. One of the things we were looking at yesterday is the way in which, in practice, it can be quite easy to take that first step of recognizing that you can be aware of something and you are not the something. So I can recognize I am not these thoughts, or I am not these emotions. I'm aware of these emotions and thoughts. It's a really important step. I see that experience as a step. I see that as, we could say, step one. Many of us in a meditation practice get somewhat stuck there. We spend a lot of time, in a sense, hovering above experience, and then therefore being in a subject-object relationship with experience. I'm watching this, and then slowly judgment can even creep in. I'm watching this, but let's say, for example, I see these thoughts. I recognize I'm not these thoughts, but I really need to clear the mind. I need to get rid of these thoughts. So there's a way in which the separate self is maintained, alive and well, just using the language of spiritual practice. Still intact, having some kind of control, attempt for control over experience. So yesterday, what we did, and again, if you're just coming in today, no worries. I'll just recap that yesterday what we did is we began focusing on the collapsing a bit. Again, important distinction. We're going to suffer a lot if we can't even, if we just think I am these thoughts, if we're just 100% identified with this is me. But so that kind of capacity, it's like we're making a compassionate concession. Awareness is not actually separate from that experience, but we separate it out so that we can recognize we are not this. But then it can be so useful in the name of not maintaining that illusory form of subject-object to allow for a collapsing. Now, in truth, there is nothing other than what I'm calling the collapsed experience. Again, the awareness is not separate from anything else, from the objects of experience, from perception. The awareness is not actually other than. What about the body? What about the body, John? Perhaps we'll have an exchange today. But thank you for naming that. I'll see if it arises to bring that into the meditation. So, John, I'm imagining that what you're looking at is, what is awareness's relationship to the body? You can let me know if there's more to that, but I'll certainly comment on that in the meditation now that you've brought it up. All right, so I'm not seeing other comments in the sidebar, and that leads me to be called to just move straight into the sit. Maria, I'm just wishing to share the Swedish tradition of mindfulness is conscious presence, so present with or as and aware of presence and awareness. Oh, Swedish, why can't I say that word this morning, y'all? Swedish translation of mindfulness is conscious presence. Beautiful. I love that. Yes, as aware of presence and awareness. Beautiful. Thank you. John, I am not the body. It's where people tend to have the most identification. Yeah, okay. Yes, John. The recognition, I am not these thoughts. Again, I mentioned yesterday, this is the neti process. I am not these thoughts. I am not these emotions. I am not this body. Absolutely. Yeah. And the ego does lodge in the body. That sense of separate self does lodge in the body. So good. We'll bring that in. All right, friends. Let's sit and then we shall discuss. Thank you. again for being here. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for your presence. Begin by being aware of the breath. And then direct the attention to the emotions. Be aware of emotions. If there are no specific emotions present, be aware of that experience. Be aware of neutrality. Next, be aware of the body. Attending to sensation. Scanning through the body, aware of different felt perceptions through the body. Now be aware of sounds around you. Be aware of what you're hearing. Notice that the theme so far in today's meditation is be aware of blank, and then I filled in the blanks. Now release the blanks. Simply be aware of being aware. So we're not focusing on being aware of any specific object, but rather aware of awareness itself. Now, in being within this recognition, in being aware of awareness, notice, does this awareness have a hard edge or a boundary? Is it limited? Does it have a start point and an end point? Another way we could talk about this pure awareness is vast consciousness. Is this vast consciousness disturbed by thoughts that arise? Is this vast consciousness disrupted by sensations in the body? Or by the body's existence? Regarding sensations in the body, how do you even know those sensations? What are those sensations arising in? And if your first answer is simply the body, then what is the body arising in? Is the body some inert object separate from awareness? With your eyes closed, without thinking about how the body looks or appears in consciousness, what do you know about the body? How is anything that arises in pure consciousness known? As Rupert Spira often says, is there anything to any experience arising other than the knowing of it? So objects or forms arising in pure, unlimited awareness. Objects known by, recognized by awareness. Objects made of awareness. Awareness not separate from whatever's arising. Whatever's arising made of awareness or consciousness. These are not places of inquiry that I'm suggesting you think about. These are prompts to explore your own direct experience. Also, as Rupert Spira says, to allow your direct experience to be the test of reality. Is there anything other than consciousness? You are this. Thank you, friends. Thank you. A reminder to please support Sangha Live using the green button below if you're able. Evelyn, through that meditation, or in response to that meditation, you wrote, I am not my body, thoughts, emotions, but the awareness which also includes them, right? Waves in the ocean. Yes. Tell me more of your experience. If you'd like to come on, actually, Evelyn, you'd be welcome to. But not a requirement if that's all that's alive to say right now. I am not my body, thoughts, emotions.
Hello.
Oh, lovely. Hello, lovely.
Hello.
Evelyn, great to see you.
Hello, great to see you. Yes, my question is sometimes it's a balanced question. It might sound a bit philosophical, but okay. I think I'm very aware I'm not my thoughts, emotion, and I am something like broader than that, which also includes it. But in practice, sometimes I tend to lean thinking, okay, I'm not my thoughts, and then I might sometimes lean to put a distance. It's like, okay, alors, I might find it difficult sometimes to, in certain moments of life, to say I'm not my thoughts or emotions. I'm not my body. I'm quite okay with that. And not to be like making a distance, putting a distance and going away because I'm not that. So I find sometimes a balance for me in my practice, and I'm thinking mainly a practice of life, can be, it's a delicate point, not to be like hovering.
Evelyn, this is exactly what prompted me to want to focus on this today. For many of us, as I said, it's such an important first step to say, oh, so powerful. I am not these thoughts or these emotions. I'm aware of these emotions, but you can see how that keeps this sense of separateness in place. And if we stay there, it's like we're hovering above experience.
Yes.
So what was it like for you today to, in your own direct experience, begin to explore what is it like to collapse that distinction?
It's like opening up to something bigger.
Yes.
And
yes. So Evelyn, seeing yourself not as this limited I that is aware of an object, but recognizing the largeness of the awareness that we're talking about, the infinite nature of this. As I said in the meditation, I'm using awareness and consciousness interchangeably right now.
The feeling, now it's more the intuitive feeling, is that it opens a much larger perspective.
And it opens a larger perspective.
My mind is saying, okay, but you're not, so what are you, blah, 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 blah. I must say, when I am on the cushion, meditating, it's like it can appear quite naturally, especially with your guidance. Now, sometime in daily life, which is also the going on of practice, might get, okay, thought, okay, it's like this thought, okay, and anyway, I'm not this thought.
Yes, Evelyn, the reason it appears in on the cushion as easily as it does is because it's your very being.
Yes.
And what you're describing is that as you move through your day, it's harder to access the expansive, infinite nature of your very being because you experience yourself as that which gets lost in the world of objects. So we attach, so the more charge there is, the more we attach onto the objects. And that's why it's perfectly wonderful that we have this sort of compassionate concession to begin by saying, oh, wait, I am not this rage right now. Okay, I'm aware of the rage. And then given what you're describing, the next invitation, the next place of inquiry could be, and is that awareness separate from the rage? Is that my experience? Am I this small, limited I that hovers outside my experience watching it? Or maybe even then, as I said at the beginning, judging it.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it can be either craving that I can see very well. Like, you get something like an emotion, a thought, and you're like craving on the thought, and then it's like your monkey mind, and it goes, and that I can see, and I say, okay, let go. No. Of course, there might be some judgment too, sometimes, or trying to come back then to a broader awareness. Well, without putting distance, it's like, okay, I'm not the thought, but I still have to be with it, knowing I'm not the thought.
Mm-hmm.
As you say, if I could get lost in it, at the same time, I don't need to have it to separate.
Correct.
And
in Buddhist terms, we'd say there's a middle way between being totally lost in objects and then being totally separate from and hovering above and watching. There's a middle way, and that middle way isn't some tiny point in between those those two ways. It's as you said, it's as though here's a wave, it's the ocean.
Yeah, so it's a tiny point. How would you suggest to sometimes to come back to the tiny point? Usually I try to pause, use an anchor like the breath, or some anchor, the feet on the ground, or something like that. You have like any suggestion, or might tell me, okay, find out by yourself, and I would totally accept that as how to come back, to this point when it's.
It may be useful, since you're already well practiced at, I'm not this thing that's arising. I can see it, and I recognize I'm aware of it. It may be useful to then look into, to remind yourself to ask the question. Now, is this awareness separate from the experience? Is this awareness other than the experience? And questions that could be helpful are some of the questions from the meditation. How do I know this experience? I've been referencing Rupert Spira a lot today. That's the question I've heard him use. How is this experience known? It's known through the same awareness.
Yeah, that can help.
And what is it? So we know, yes, here's what's arising. It's known by awareness, but then you could ask, is this awareness that knows it? It's known by awareness, but is this awareness that knows it limited? Does it exist inside a body mind? Is it finite?
Yes, that puts a new perspective to it.
Yeah.
I really think that can really help. Yeah.
Yes, to explore the nature of this and to recognize that this is not limited. It's not, we need to say this becomes this through our exploration. And it always has been that, but it's through distorted view that we think it's limited, fixed, finite, separate.
I think that can be a very good angle for me. I'm going to try that. It's like in everyday life, you know, you can see clearly you're getting lost. And
Yes.
to get to, as you said, is a tiny point.
Say it again, Evelyn. You're saying that it's a tiny point that's sort of in between the two?
Yes.
Well, what I was suggesting is that we're conditioned to think, oh, it's this small point. So that, but that would be like saying the ocean is one small point. Picture the ocean with no boundary.
Yes.
And waves arising in that. It's not actually a small point we're finding. It's not another wave. It's the remembrance of what the waves are arising in, what the waves are made of. But then this is a self-aware ocean. So it's also how the waves are known.
Yes. And awareness would be, I'm quite familiar with the image of the waves and the ocean. And sometimes I'm also asking myself, awareness, is it the ocean or is it water? And the ocean is water anyway. So
with what we've been exploring, Evelyn, what is not awareness?
Everything is awareness.
What is outside awareness? What is beyond awareness? What is other than awareness?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
So there's very little that we actually have to do. I seem to be full of Rupert Spira today. I'm channeling Rupert Spira. But so Rupert, one of the things he says is meditation is not what we do. Meditation is what we are.
Yeah. That can really help. Really, I think it can really help. I'm going to practice with that because, of course, it needs to be practiced, percussion, and in daily life. Yeah.
Remembered. It needs to be remembered. So that's why yesterday we explored integration, but then in the meditation kind of got to the bottom of there's nothing to integrate. There's nothing separate. Integration it implies there's this and we need to integrate the two.
Yeah, it helped when you reminded yesterday that le vide est forme, la forme est vide. Emptiness is shape and shape is emptiness. We
Yes.
can't do the same idea. And it's all in awareness.
Yes.
Question of awareness.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. It has been fantastic. I must say, I'm looking forward. And the part on the process a few weeks ago when we went in the process, and that has helped me tremendously.
So, I'm so glad.
It made a big change in the way I can look at my mind, the way it functions. I really could see, thanks to this method, things I haven't seen before. Although I've been practicing meditation for years now, but that was really tremendous. And
I'm so glad to know that. It's those specific tools have been tremendous for me too. And you saw Janice introduced us today. Janice has been working with Peace in Schools for as long as Peace in Schools has existed, pretty much. And those tools are what we focus on bringing to young people. And it is because I love talking about it in terms of their contemplative technologies. They're just tools that can be applied and then work. So good. I'm very glad to hear that.
Very powerful, very, very intense light on the way my mind is functioning. But very powerful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Evelyn. And again, thank you for your email, and we'll be in touch.
We'll be in touch. Definitely. Thank you.
Okay, friends, we are at 9:01. Janice needs to get back to work. I actually have a day off today, so I could keep going, but I'm gonna release Janice. Let me just catch up on some of these sidebar notes. Charlie, in the blurring of lines between vast consciousness and body, I find a lot of support, symbiosis, if you will. Yes, beautiful. John and Nancy, such a difference between knowing and I know, or awareness and I am aware of. Thank you, John. And can you repeat the Rupert Spira quote about knowing? Yes, Rupert often speaks about, is there anything to your experience other than the knowing of it? Is there anything, for example, to sensation other than the knowing of it? With your eyes closed, what do you know other than the knowing of your experience? Carolyn, have a sense of such aliveness, like how to be alive. It is, let's see, sorry, it's scrolling up. So it can't possibly be a set point of me, can it? Yes, yes, there is no set point of me. We've been deeply confused. We've been, it's an identity crisis of sorts. Been confused about the nature of who we are. Carolyn, thank you. John, Nancy, I think it's, okay, good. Beautiful. Joyce, thanks for catching that. Sharon, thank you. Yevlin, thanks all. Thanks, it's been wonderful to find this recently. I'm sad it's ending, but grateful. Katie, please do join us as we continue in a different form. We definitely will. Sharon, does the ocean exist separate from the waves? That is, can there be the ocean and also not and the waves? I think we've addressed that, Sharon, but if not, bring it in tomorrow, please. Okay, friends, thank you. Antoinette, thank you. I really appreciate your presence. We will continue tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow I'll come in open and we'll start with anything that you're present to, that's alive for you, and kind of take it from there if you wish. Okay, much love.